Good morning. So today on Training Tip Thursday, I'm not going to show you anything. I've got something that I really need to talk to people about. You're going to hear my foster dog is whining because he can't stand to be out of the room, but my dogs are eating and he's rude and would get in their food, and they of course would not like that. And that is perfectly acceptable. It's absolutely acceptable. So we've been hearing a lot of people misuse the word aggression. Hey, that's enough. And the problem is that people are not allowing dogs to say, hey, that's mine. No, you can't have it. So dogs are 80-90% quiet conversation. The only vocalizations that they have is barking, whining, growling. So when they are eating a food and somebody or another animal is trying to take their food and they don't pay attention to the hunch, to the hard stare, to the fact that like this is mine, then what else do they have but to growl? And we have had this a lot lately where people are saying, well, that makes them aggressive. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, but if I'm eating my food and you are coming up and trying to steal my food while I'm eating it, I'm going to say, excuse me, that's mine. I have words, so I can say that. If I was a dog, all I would have is I would have to growl. So let's say that a stranger comes up and tries to steal my food. I'm probably going to be a lot meaner than I would be to somebody I know. Right? But even to somebody I know, if I'm giving them, hey, this is mine, you can't have it, and they continue to try, I'm going to be like, get off, it's mine. And that would be growling in a dog's world. And if they still didn't listen, I might hit their arm or shove them. And guess what? That would be a lunge and a snap if I was a dog. People resource guard all the time. You have a house, you have your stuff, you don't want everybody else coming in and taking it, right? So if somebody tried and you argued against that, you would be considered resource guarding. You would be considered aggressive, but you're just protecting what is yours. Now, I'm not saying there aren't dogs who resource guard. I'm not saying that there aren't dogs that have aggressive issues. There are. But if I'm eating my dinner and someone is across the room not looking at me and I'm yelling at them to not steal my food, now I'm being aggressive because I'm starting something that wasn't there. I'm not defending myself. I'm not saying this is mine and you can't have it. Now I'm just starting it before anything has happened. That would be what I would call aggression. Or if I'm going to run across the room and hit that person for even looking in my direction, I would be aggressive. But if someone is actively trying to steal my food while I'm eating it, yeah, I'm going to say get out. And any person does. But a dog gets labeled aggressive. So for instance, one of our fosters had a dog and she said she was food aggressive. We always ask, what does that mean? Well, first of all, the dog was not getting dry food. She was getting chicken after she'd been sick for days and not really eaten. Okay, so she's starving and you're giving her human food. So it's a high value, very important, like being in a hospital and being on a liquid diet for 3 days and then somebody brings you a pizza and somebody else tries to take it. Get off. I'm eating that pizza, right? So I'm like, well, that's probably what it is. You know, until she's back to normal, we're not going to count it. Well, then she says it's towards the cats. Well, she had cats in a cage next to the dog's cage. So I thought that's what she was saying. So I was like, well, put up a visual block so the dog feels like the cats can't get their food, because dogs don't always understand that just because they can't get out doesn't mean other things can't get in, right? And she goes, no, not the kittens in the cage. My cat was reaching through the bars and trying to take the chicken. That is not a dog who is food aggressive. That is a dog saying, cat, get your paws off my chicken. I'm in my crate. It's my food. I want to eat it. I'm hungry. And you're stealing my food. That is defending what someone else is stealing. That's not aggression. That is an act of, hey, that's mine, what are you doing? Because clearly the cat is rude enough to reach through and steal the food. So the cat's being rude. So of course the dog's going to say, hey, and it's going to come out in the only vocalizations that they have, a growl. And by the way, a growl is a good thing because it lets you know that the dog is having an issue before they decide to go further with it. They are warning you that if you do any more, I may have to go further. You don't want a dog who doesn't growl and then just snaps out of the blue, because then you have no warning. Neither does anybody around you, your other dogs, your other animals, or your kids. The growl is a warning and you need to heed it and then get some help if you're having an issue. So don't look at the growl as a bad thing. That's the dog conversating, okay? If you get a dog who doesn't growl, then basically it's like that person that you're with who won't tell you what's wrong, but clearly there's something wrong, but they won't tell you what it is, and then suddenly they just blow up, right? Because they didn't tell you. They didn't communicate what was going on with them. But if they come to you and say, hey, I'm having a bad day and I'm kind of grouchy, there's your growl. That's your warning, okay? Now, another version of what was considered aggression, which was absolutely not, was a dog was eating its food and it was fine. The other dog came straight up to the dog's bowl and was actively trying to get in the bowl to eat. And the dog whose bowl it was said no, and they growled, and we were told they were aggressive. Again, that other dog is being rude. Hey, no. That other dog is being rude and trying to steal the food that dog is actively eating out of. That's not polite. It's wrong, and it shouldn't be allowed. It is the behavior that people describe to us when they have mother dogs who have puppies and now they're trying to wean them, and the puppies are being rude, and maybe they're getting in, not necessarily just in the bowl with the mama, but they're also like, I've literally seen puppies get between mama's mouth and the food. Okay, it's seriously rude. So mama growls, mama snaps, mama pushes them out of the way. And we get told, mama's being mean to them. No, she's not. She's teaching them boundaries while they're with somebody who's not going to kill them. And you want that because mama is saying, don't be rude. Don't get in my way. Don't steal my food. She's teaching boundaries when she's not likely to actually kill them. But another dog might actually do that. Another dog might actually snatch that dog up and let him have it for being rude and improper. Animals are different from us, and we have to remember that. And growls do not make a dog aggressive. It is conversation. Now, if you're not sure, you need to reach out to a professional so that you can learn whether that is acceptable or not. Part of the reason that this dog is in that other room is because my dogs are eating. They do not get in each other's food. They do not bother each other. He's a dinglebutt, and he will go right up to them, and they will have to growl. And if he doesn't listen, which is what he does, then they're going to get worse, and they're going to snap, or, worse, to teach him, this is mine. So, because I don't have the time right now to teach him not to get in their food, because I'm doing a video, I have him separated so there is no problems. But I have 5 large dogs that all eat in the vicinity of each other. They all have their own food bowls. They all have their own places to eat, and they do not bother each other. And there is no aggression because they all know that they're not to mess with each other's bowls. Now, this last one that we were told a dog that went out on foster to adopt was aggressive with food with children. And we're like, okay, well, what does that mean? So we're like, is she growling? Is she snapping? What is she doing? And they're like, oh, no, she's not doing anything like that. Okay, where's the aggression? She's stealing food out of their hand. But she's not being mean about it? Nope. It's a toddler, face level, walking around with food, and this dog is just being rude and taking the food. No growling, no scary stuff, just stealing the food. That's called poor manners, lack of impulse control, whatever else you want to call it. But that is not a dog who is food aggressive. And if we had not taken the time to ask those questions, and we had just took it upon the word of that person, we would not have been able to adopt that dog out, because that dog would have been labeled food aggressive with children, which is a dangerous thing, and we would not want to send that dog back out into a home. So people throw the word aggression around because the dogs have the audacity to stand up for themselves. A dog who growls when a stranger tries to pet them is saying, I don't want to be hugged, thank you. Because in the dog world, petting is like hugging. Have you ever looked at someone and said, no hugs, please? In the dog world, according to humans, you'd be aggressive. But you're not. You're just saying, please don't touch me. I don't know you well enough for you to be touching me. And I have said that many, 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 many times in my lifetime. Every time when I was a kid going out to a bar, people, guys, wanting to grab you. No, you're not touching me. If I was a dog, I'd be labeled aggressive. Now, if a guy looked at me across from the bar and I went over and beat his butt, that'd be aggressive. But a guy who comes up to me and grabs my butt and I say, heck no, get out, that's not aggression. That's standing up for yourself. That is saying, don't do that. I don't like it. So it means that your dog needs to be worked on, either being socialized or they just don't want to be petted. Not every dog wants to be petted by every person who comes up to them. But the world has decided that all dogs should allow all people to do whatever they want to them at all times. Dogs are super, super smart. They have big feelings. They are super intelligent. They're very intuitive. It is why we can use them as service dogs to smell cancer, to tell us when our blood sugar drops, to tell us when we're about to have a panic attack, to tell us when we're about to fall down or have a seizure before we even know it. That is how good they are. And then we want to treat them as if they're mindless creatures and robots who should just do whatever we want. So before you label a dog aggressive just because they growl or even snap, it doesn't mean that they're aggressive. I've been bitten by dogs that were not aggressive. In the moment, with what happened, it scared them and they felt they had to defend themselves. That's not aggression. Now, here's my definition of aggression, and I am speaking from being a certified dog trainer for over a decade, behavior consultant who specialized in aggression. If there's a dog in your yard, if your dog is in your yard and it sees people, other creatures out there, and they want to escape, to run down the street to attack them, that's aggression. Because that person or creature is not bothering them. Now, there's territorial, like my Mastiff, when she's in her fence. If you try to pet her, not going to go well. That fence says, you're not allowed in here. And she is going to bite you if you reach your hand over, despite all of her growling and lunging and barking at you. If you stick your hand over and try to pet her anyways, she's probably going to bite you because she's territorial. When she's out of her fence line, if you are a stranger and mom and dad are not out there to okay your authorization to be on the property and you don't leave, she might chase you down and bite you because that's her territory. That's part of what they are. That's what a Mastiff was designed for, to be territorial. Mom and dad come out, mom and dad say you're okay, she'll back off. Some people, she still will eye like, I'm watching you, but she won't do anything. She is not out and out aggressive for no good reason. There are reasons. If we have a dog who doesn't like cats in their home, in their yard, in their face, no problem. But if you tell me that your dog is jumping out of the fence, digging out to run down the street to kill cats, neighbors away, that's aggression. Aggressive is coming at, being aggressive. It is not the same as defending yourself or standing your ground and refusing to let someone walk all over you. Dogs, there's just a big difference between actual aggression and what is okay. So, hopefully that helps people clear up some things. Share this video so more people can learn. But it is okay for an animal of any kind to say, I'm eating this, please don't take it away. And if you do, I might be a jerk. Because I promise you, if I'm eating and someone tries to take my food away, I'm going to be a jerk. I'm absolutely going to be a jerk. Call me aggressive if you want to, but everybody out there is not going to allow someone else to steal their food to the point of starvation. And while you might think, well, they're not going to starve, if this is happening to them on a regular basis, eventually they're not getting enough to eat. Because if they have to leave their food because someone else wants it, then they didn't get to eat enough. And you are creating a dog who is concerned that they are going to starve. So do not remove their food once you give it to them. You do need to set boundaries and rules between animals, cats, dogs, kids, people. You do need to have a structured setup for food so everybody understands what goes on. When I have feed my dogs, I say it's time to eat. Everybody comes together. They all sit and wait while we dish out the food. We put it in their respective spots, and then we let them go, and everybody goes to their respective spots. Nobody goes to each other's bowls because they know that they can eat securely with their back to each other because mom's not going to let other dogs come and get their food. And we got that way because mom, dad, big brother, whatever you want to call us, whoever's in charge of feeding, stayed in the room and deterred anybody who tried to go away from their bowl to someone else's bowl. You have to be the one to teach the rules. You have to teach them what's acceptable. And then that way they know that they can eat safely and not worry about what is going on behind them. They don't need to watch their back. They don't need to worry about it. And also there are some little tricks that you can do about positioning of the bowl to keep them from feeling like they need to be guarding. And here's the cool thing. If you really want to get into this and you really want to work with your dogs, there is a video that I have used for years to train my people when I'm working with their dogs on behavior about resource guarding and how to stop it, how to prevent it, how to work with it, how to fix it. And you can get it on our website at thehighlandhumanesociety.org for $15. And it is yours for 3 months. Not going to get any more help for this kind of behavior any cheaper. And if that's not enough, you can sign up to get an individual lesson for $25. Again, not going to get it any cheaper. Resource guarding, food issues, super easy to fix. A lot of times it is a misunderstanding, a lack of trust, and a lack of boundaries that has caused this behavior. There are some dogs who will resource guard, and that is because they feel insecure. So you work on the insecurities. And here's a human example of that. In 2020, when COVID hit and nobody could leave, what were people resource guarding? Toilet paper. You remember that? That is resource guarding when you go and you bulk buy and you hoard it and you won't let anybody around it because you're terrified you won't have it. You are a resource guarder. So, welcome to the dog world. Have a good day.